Hello everyone. Well, Matt Dillahunty put out a video the other day where he was reflecting on his experiences at the Mythicist Milwaukee Convention, and in that video he talked about his conversation with Sargon. You see, apparently Matt and Sargon sat down at a bar, had a few beers, and they had about an hour-and-a-half conversation about various subjects. And of course, during that conversation, Sargon's tweet to British MP Jess Phillips came up.
We decided to talk about his tweet. He tweeted at a member of parliament, "I wouldn't even rape you." And prior to this, he had mentioned that he identifies as a humanist. And so my question was, how is that tweet remotely consistent with humanism? I still don't have an answer, and I'm still of the opinion that it's not remotely consistent with humanism. Because at that point, and granted he'd had quite a few beers, so maybe he wasn't thinking clearly, but he tried to defend it and tried to argue about the point that he was making. Oh, well, I just wanted to show that if I made something that clearly wasn't a threat, that they would still take it as a threat. Okay, well, that doesn't prove the point that you really wanted. See, this MP wanted to impose restrictions and policies on internet usage to decrease misogyny and bullying, and Sargon was opposed to that policy, felt it was overreaching. And I asked, well, then why not address the actual policy? Ah, he says, they won't listen. Oh, okay, so because you're convinced they won't listen, you're now justified as a humanist in tweeting, "I wouldn't even rape you." And then he explains that he spent 2 hours toiling over whether to include the word even there. Because "I wouldn't rape you" versus "I wouldn't even rape you" does change some context. Neither of them is a threat to actually do this. Including the word even, basically, as he acknowledges it, transitions it into more closer to the realm of "you're too ugly to screw." All of which is, I find, despicable and counter to humanism.
Okay, what Matt is saying here is that Sargon's tweet, which of course you can't argue, was a provocative and somewhat insulting tweet to the Member of Parliament. But here Matt is saying that this insulting tweet is, quote, not even remotely consistent with humanism. Now, the American Humanist Association describes humanism as a progressive life stance that, without supernaturalism, affirms our ability and responsibility to lead meaningful, ethical lives capable of adding to the greater good of humanity. So really, what humanism does at the basic core is remove God as the central aspect of importance in our lives and put human beings first, and that we should lead ethical lives that contribute to the greater good of humanity. Now, if someone were something like a slave owner, you could certainly make the case that that's inconsistent with humanism. Certainly an oppressive and unethical action like that is harmful to humanity, and it's certainly inconsistent with being a humanist. However, making the giant leap from the fact that you can't oppress a group of human beings to saying that you have to be polite and respectful to all humans in order to be consistent with being a humanist, well, really, that is quite a stretch to say the least. But let's look into that a little bit. Let's go over some of the facts here. Now, Sargon's a citizen of the United Kingdom. Jess Phillips is a powerful member of Parliament in the UK. With seats on several committees, she certainly has a lot of political power and floor within the UK government. In fact, she has so much power and floor that she was able to interrupt, laugh at, and mock when bringing up men's issues on the Parliament floor, issues that affect a lot of men in the UK who are poor and struggling. She certainly had the political power to show her objection.
Have for men. So the opportunity for men to raise issues that are important to them is very limited. And just to give you a flavour, Mr. Chairman, of the type of things that may come up and which will be part of International Men's Day, I'm not entirely sure why it's so humorous, but to discuss issues such as men's shorter life expectancy, wider male health issues, many of which go unreported through embarrassment of men to sort of go along and talk about these things, the high suicide rate amongst men, the propensity for violence against men. There's many male victims of domestic violence, again, as something that goes very much unreported because of lots of embarrassment about it. The underachievement of boys in education compared to girls, the issues around father-child relationships, and often the way that fathers sometimes feel they don't get a fair crack of the whip in terms of custody of their children and things like that. These are all issues that affect an awful lot of people around the country. It would only be fair that we had an opportunity to debate these issues under the flag of International Men's Day, which is this year on Thursday the 19th of November.
Thank you very much. Questions? Jess?
You have to excuse me for laughing, that the idea that men don't have the opportunity to ask questions in this place is a frankly laughable thing. As I say, as the only woman on this committee, it seems like every day to me is.
Well, I wasn't making, with respect, I wasn't making that point. I wasn't making the point that men don't have an opportunity to ask. I was about men's issues. There's a very big difference between men raising issues and the raising of men's issues.
But one could raise men's issues in any single one of the question sessions. So I just think that it's worth pointing out the idea that this chamber, that these houses, both of them, in any way reflect gender equality is to me a frankly laughable thing. And so in the fight for equality, I'm not sure the men on this list necessarily have that much to fight for.
Bob, please.
Yeah, I can empathise with a lot of the issues that you're concerned about.
I care about men's issues. It's that I'm hoping for parity myself.
Hear, hear.
I absolutely care about men's issues. And when I've got parity, and when women in these buildings have parity, you can have your debate.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, if I can just make the point.
And that will take an awfully long time.
As you can see, MP Jess Phillips, she has quite a powerful platform, and Sargon, as a citizen, has his platforms. But instead of talking about Sargon, let's talk a second about what Matt has laid down here as a consistency to being a humanist. Now, he basically was stating that you have to respectfully address the arguments at hand, and that you shouldn't resort to insulting attacks, even when it comes to people in positions of political power. So I wonder how Matt's consistencies would apply to, say for instance, a citizen addressing Donald Trump.
They're also traditionally vulgar. And boy, does that apply to Donald Trump. He's got to be one of the most vulgar people I have ever known of in existence in my life, in all of the various senses of the word vulgar, but makes most of the nation feel filthy and needing a shower. The thing is, our Donald's a racist, and also, quite probably, a rapist, a liar, a fraud, an ignorant clod. It might sound contradictory, but a tainted half-victory seems plenty for this preening dick.
Goodbye, you piece of shit.
And I would like to just say that, well,
Shut the fuck up, Hal. Let me finish.
There's no evidence of them.
Well, they would have.
You're a moral thug. You've lost your moral compass.
interesting political statement. So let's take a quick look. It features Donald Trump. A very accurate depiction of Donald Trump, from what I've heard.
Jesus, Lord mercy.
All right.
Okay, it's got the veins that are popping out. It has things that are not popping out. And it has no balls.
Statute of limitations. That's really good. That's really.
And let's not forget you, Matt, that on election night you tweeted out your response to the fact that the citizens of this country decided to elect Donald Trump as their president was how you were unbearably sad. So you see, Matt, there has been a lot of this, shall we say, not even remotely being humanist behavior that's coming from your political allies. We haven't heard anything from you regarding that type of behavior, Matt. When Sargon put out that provocative tweet, he was using his political platform. He was exercising his freedom of expression to oppose the policies of someone with substantial political power. And doing so, either rudely or politely, is in no way inconsistent with being a humanist. So, Matt, we all understand that due to the tax exemption of the atheist experience, you pretty much have to keep quiet publicly your opinion of President Trump. So answer me this question, Matt Dillahunty. How is it that the hatred and disrespect that you hold for President Trump, the unprecedented hatred and disrespect shown by your political allies against President Trump, are any different from Sargon's tweets when it comes to humanism? You can't answer that.